Hello, my name is Kurt. I'm artistic director here at this venue called AB, and it's not every time that we sit on stage, so it's something you have to cherish, actually. 5 years ago, I never would have thought to do like a talk about Turkish Psych. Probably none of you guys neither, or maybe they do. But it's been quite a ride. Let me take you back to a couple of years ago. I went to a festival called Guess Who in 2014. That's already 5 years ago. And you can see all the well-known names as white men. I am like Anschutz and Neubauten. They sell out 2,000 capacity. Bonnie Prince Billy, he sells out here 2,000 capacity. St. Vincent is quite popular. And now Mac DeMarco and King Gizzard are selling out 2 days in a row, 4,000 tickets. All white male bands. And suddenly, well, St. Vincent is not white male, but there was a name, Zelda, which I never heard about her. I didn't even know it was a her, featuring Boom Pam. And I never heard about that band neither. So I wondered why this organization called Guess Who, which takes place in Utrecht, a very nice city, is putting her so high on the billing. Because I've never heard about her. So I listened to some music and I was quite impressed by her voice. And when I saw the gig, I was so flabbergasted. That's a very old-fashioned word to tell that you're completely... I completely went mental because she had an amazing voice and her story was amazing. She ended up in jail for 4 times because her songs were way too political. She's over 70 and she was backed up by an Israeli band. So a Turkish woman backed up by an Israeli band, and I was like, wow, this is happening. This is not happening in rock music in general. So I sort of fell in love with Zelda. She didn't fall in love with me. So I thought when there was an experience, when the people from Europalia approached me the year after, in 2015, the central country central country was Turkey. So I thought, like, wow, this is interesting. Let's invite Zelda over here. That was a complete no-go. I couldn't invite Zelda because she was way too political. So all the bands that were on that program, they needed to go from the Turkish Cultural Commission. And that was a no-go. So I was like, what the fuck's happening? I mean, this is one of my favorite artists that we could present within that program, and that was a no-go. So luckily, I didn't know anything about Turkish music, nor do I nowadays, but a little bit more. Luckily, my guests do know a lot. And so one of the guys there, Christoph, who worked there, was the right guy at the right place, because he presented me Mustafa Özgür. And just in case you think this is quite a disgrace to depict Turkish people as an ape, this is the sleeve of an original Mustafa Özgür album that got released on Finders Keepers, one of those labels, together with Faraway Sounds, a Spanish label that do reissue a lot of old Turkish psychedelic music from the 60s and 70s. And he hooked them up with Brussels orchestra, and that was a great night. The same with Okay Temis, whom I didn't know neither before. But I still was a little bit frustrated, like how come I wasn't able to put Zelda on this building within the perfect team. So I went back 1 year later to the Primavera Festival, and there you see Zelda featuring Boom Pam again, lined up with people like LCD Sound System, Sway, Dinosaur Jr., one of my old favorite guitar brands from the 80s. And once again, I was flabbergasted, and I thought, I'm right, because this is like great music, and I want to put her on at the AB. And the first time didn't work out. And when at a certain moment, because within this sort of indie festivals, it's great to see artists like this, and it doesn't happen that much. It was great at a certain moment. I was standing in front of the stage, and suddenly like 500 people put out a handkerchief, a white handkerchief, at a certain song which I didn't know. So I was even more impressed. It's, I need the second slide, no, the next slide to see what I'm going to say. So finally, in 2018, we were able to get Zelda over. So it took me actually four years to fulfill this process. And this touches a certain point. There's not much written about Turkish psychedelica like 4 or 5 years ago. And it's still like sort of a crate diggers kind of thing. Like people go out talking music shops about what have you discovered, and a lot of crate diggers are here around. When I look at you, it's people that collect old Turkish records and go out and spin it, and people go up to the DJ booth very old-fashioned, like, hey, what are you playing? This is amazing stuff. And so that's how I got to a little bit known, or that I got to discover this whole Turkish psych scene. And we presented it with Derya Yildirim and Gayes Köl, who played there last week as well. And then I suddenly realized, wow, this is an amazing building, because you have Zelda, who's like one of the true originators, who's backed up by a Israeli band, Boom Bam. You have Derya Yildirim, who has Turkish roots, who lives in Berlin, and her band, and that's basically the whole point of this talk today, is like Outernationalist. One of the members is coming from France, another member is coming from Denmark, another member is coming from London, if I'm not mistaken. So the complete opposite of what we see happening in politics nowadays. You have the Brexit, some presidents that want to build a wall. I thought we'd tear the wall down so many years ago in Berlin because it didn't make any sense. Well, some people still have that idea. And even in Belgium, a lot of political parties want to rip this country apart. While you see that reality is completely different, and this whole Turkish psych movement is proving a complete different thing. That was a long intro, I think. But this whole thing resulted in the fact that we kept on investing in this Turkish psych movement, and this year we have like 6 evenings in a row that we're presenting, and tonight you're of course welcome to watch 2 bands. I know, but the next slide is just 2 more slides to tell you. It started out as like being a very niche kind of thing, this whole Turkish psych revival. But like with Zelda, we had over 1,000 people who bought tickets. It's quite a lot. The club shows are doing well as well. Then suddenly last year there was a book about the Turkish psych movement, written by a guy, Daniel Spicer, whom we invited, who's a journalist for The Guardian. He writes for The Wire as well. And we had David Byrne posting last week. He's quite a visionary guy, in my opinion. Of course, former leader of the Talking Heads, who posted a whole playlist about Anatolian funk. And as a freak, because I became a freak in the meantime, when you look at the, before I give you the word, when you look at the playlist, it's quite an impressive playlist, I think, because you got all the classics in there. Classics that I've heard from your DJs as well, but all the new generations in there, Altin Gun from Holland, Baba Zula, and Gayes Köl. I only missed, though, Zelda, but that's another thing. Okay, so we got 3 very interesting people here around this small little table. I think we once bought it at IKEA, which is from Sweden. Maybe can you just simply introduce yourself? Who are you, and what's your relationship with Turkish music in general?
Yes, my name is Orhan. I'm from Denmark, but I have Turkish roots. I play Turkish folk music with 3 different bands. One of them is Hudna, that's going to play tonight. And I play with İpek Yolu and Gothenburg Gachos from Sweden. So, yeah, I'm a Turkish folk musician and I play saz bağlama. And my story with this compilation is that I have...
Because this compilation was released last year and you're part of it. That's how I got to know you.
Yeah, exactly. The thing was that the Hudna is also 3 different music culture. One of the band members is Israeli Moroccan drum player and a Danish guitarist, well-known guitarist. So we have this mixture between Turkish folk, blues, Americana, and desert rhythms. So I make a composition with name, a tune was 9/8, Blue 9/8. That was a little bit bluesy and little bit Delta blues and little bit Americana blues and North African rhythms into this 9/8 rhythm. And I just play Turkish folk music top of this. So, yeah.
Was it something on purpose, like you just wanted to play Turkish folk music, or you want to adapt it to the country where you lived, mix it up with the roots from Denmark in a way, or?
Yeah, you know, that's funny because my story is that I was studying Turkish folk music in Turkey. I was born in Denmark, but then I say, hey, I have to go to Turkey to learn this instrument more, and I got scholarship and from Denmark. But when I was back, then it was hard to play this kind of places because the only place I could play it was Turkish weddings and and Turkish diaspora, and I was also tour with Turkish singer in the Europe. But suddenly one day my Jewish friend Yossi, he called me because he got my number from his friend and said, hey, do you want to meet? And I tell yeah, let's meet. Then suddenly we play a little bit, and he called his friend from the conservatory, son, and we meet and try to make some music that could be, how can I say, open for the Western ears also, yeah. But we never think like, okay, we have to make some Turkish psychedelic music. We just think, hey, what can we make, you know, sound-wise. So Hudna is much more project like 3 different culture mixed together, and the diversity comes with the richness. Yeah.
Where does Hudna stands for?
Hudna means
the word.
The word Arabic means ceasefire.
So there's a message in your
name. Yeah. But I think Yossi, he had the name before he met me, so it was really fun. Yeah. And of course it's political correct project, you know. But in the second hand, we never meet because of this. We just meet because of make music and learn something.
I just saw you in the backstage, and as a promoter, we always try to drop by at the backstage, and you just saw like the 3 of you guys, although there's one person who hardly plays with you, but you just saw simply the musical cohesion directly. So how does it feel, like all these nationalist movements lately going on in Europe, and you guys are completely doing the opposite?
Yeah. It's hard to say because all over the Europe they talk about this now, and it's such a shame because people have to know that to be different is not a bad thing. You can actually learn a lot of different people. Also in the music, I think, because my gift from this band is actually that I've learned a lot of from Søren, I learned a lot of from Yossi, from their music culture. And in the second hand, we also show people that, hey, we can do this, you know, we can meet and we can make something good. And it's not only in music, it can also be food, it could be other things. Yeah.
And like Zelda ending up at the Primavera Festival, you're playing at the Roskilde, or you played already at the Roskilde Festival, so...
Yeah, we
so that means you're doing something extraordinarily good.
Yeah, I played at Roskilde Festival, and actually Hudna won many awards in Denmark. And I'm going to play at Roskilde in this year also. But Roskilde is also a good pioneer in this case, that they want to show this kind of immigrants that can make good music and show the people, hey, check it out, man. They can play music also.
I want people to check out the Power compilation too, because all the bands that are on there, besides from Babazula, who's like living in Istanbul, there are bands that are based all over, even in Polish. There's even a Polish band on there, like bands from Denmark, bands from Berlin, bands from Germany, from Cologne. They're all mixed up with local musicians, and that's this whole outer-nationalist thing. That's the opposite of the whole nationalist movement. So. I don't know what the next slide is, Benoit, but this is Dre Yildirim. You can move on to the next one, because This is Hudna. This you really have like a manifesto, eh?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. This is we try a lot of time, hour to make this. Yeah, and you can read it. It's really good.
So
I think.
So you really took it seriously. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
it's really serious. Yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
check them out tonight at the AB Club stage. What's up next? I'm curious. NiXiE, you're next. This is unfortunately the fourth guy dropped out. That was so because he's sick. Gertie was a DJ, but now we can call you guys the DJ booth over there. So DJ NiXiE, maybe present yourself to the people that don't know you. And what's your connection with Turkish music?
Well, I'm a DJ and I like to play global sounds, but as well I love to play rock or punk. You know, I'm very eclectic in my taste, but once in a while I like to dive deep into a certain style. And as Kurt asked me a couple of times to DJ here at AB during a Global Sounds concert, which was Turkish concert, I kind of dove into the Turkish psychedelic music, and I loved it for a while. But through these DJ sets, I've been like doing some more research about it and diving deeper into it. But I'm not a specialist on Turkish psychedelic music, I want to add. I have studied cultural anthropology, so it's something that is reflected in the way that I DJ, I think, that I go really into different cultures. And I also think it's important. Music it has the power to bring unity, to go across borders and across nationalities. So I think it's a very powerful thing, and I connect with that strongly. So.
People should check out some of the Mixcloud tapes that you brought out, especially on Turkish music, that are amazing, and it's quite a big discovery when you listen to those mixtapes. Is there something particular that drew you to Turkish Psychedelica in general, or?
For me, I love it when things come together, you know, and I think actually it's something that we will see more and more, being in a more, for example, speaking for myself, I live in Brussels and I choose that very consciously to live in a multicultural city. After I studied my last year in Madrid, I couldn't go back to Flanders, didn't make sense anymore. I wanted to be in this melting pot of cultures, and I think this has the power because you project the reality you're living into the things you do, and in that sense, I think the Turkish psychedelic music, for me, it really resonated because I love these cultures, but I also love psychedelic music. That's something like, it's like a red thread. Do you say that in English? I don't know. But in my taste, in my musical taste, so I think because actually I got to know it through Finders Keepers, I think. And so I dove deeper into it and I loved it, and it was like a world going open. And in a way it's very accessible because you have this part of it that you know, it's part Western, and it's because originally it was like traditional Turkish folk music, but then combined with Western rock and roll influences. So it was actually called neo-folk, but then with, it was not called directly psych music. But, this combination of styles, it's something that gives you also an entry, because it's part of it already, and part of it's new, and it's exciting, and it brings it together, and I think it's a powerful tool, actually. It's a powerful tool. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think it's something we will see more and more because we live more and more in multicultural cities, and I think it's inevitable that things start to blend and people get inspired by each other and different cultures and different ways of playing, and it starts to grow together and create something new. So that's my hope for the future, that it happens more, these blending of.
How could you have an answer for the fact that it's suddenly becoming like more and more popular? Like David Byrne is throwing out playlists. He rocked at Rock Werchter last year, so he's not like an unknown guy. Books appearing, local bands like in Holland and all over Europe are picking up this genre from the 60s, 70s again?
Well, I think it's a combination of factors. I think, first of all, there's different labels who reissued old great albums that were, before they've been reissued, very unknown, and now they have become more known. Then you have the internet, which exponentially spreads it even more like that. And then you have bands who are being inspired by it, and so they start playing more psychedelic music again. And we've seen a wave of psychedelic music also in Western music again. So it's all, I think, everything inspires and affects each other, you know. So I think it's a combination of factors.
Do you speak Turkish?
No.
No, nor do I.
I wish though.
And I DJ'd a month ago, and half an hour was like Turkish psychedelic music, and I thought like sometimes it's weird because you don't understand the political impact, because that scene was really political. It's that's a pity, no?
Yes, and I want to tell the story about when I came to watch Zelda, listen to Zelda. I came alone. I just bought my ticket, and I didn't came in time, so I was just in time, and I came alone, and I found myself between all Turkish people who were so touched by her and singing every word, you know, but from the bottom of their hearts. And I cried 3 times during the concert, and I asked them next to me, please can you tell me what the song is about, because I love it, but I've never known. And then she told me from the beginning, this girl next to me we'd never met. From that moment, she told me about every song, this is about this, and then she was singing in between, and then telling, and it was so powerful and intense, and I could feel it. It meant so much to them to hear her, but also, yeah, it was beautiful to share that with them. You know, it's a very special experience.
Men don't cry, you know that men don't cry, but there were a lot of flies that night in the room, so I had a couple of flies in my eyes.
It's boys don't cry,
so
men do cry.
Yeah, okay, right. Maybe can we have the next slide? I think we're turning over to Kornelia. This is a beautiful sleeve. In times where MP3s are ruling the world, luckily there are still people releasing some vinyl and beautiful gatefolded sleeves. This is your masterpiece, your creation.
I'm just a curator.
Okay.
That's very important to mention. I'm a record collector. I'm anthropologist of culture as well. A DJ and a record collector, researcher, and I'm trying to understand the position of women in music from 60s, 70s.
Maybe one step before, you're Polish, but you went to Turkey. So the other way around.
But geography is a little bit crazy in my case. I'm Polish. I used to live in Krakow. I used to be curator of festivals. But some 4 years ago, I decided to change the balance. And since I have been collecting records for so long and I was exploring female music mostly, I decided to go to the place where I want to understand something more that I was missing. And I understood that the Turkish music, even though I know a lot about psychedelic, mostly those days I thought only about psychedelic music, I decided to go to Turkey because I had almost no idea about. I just knew Selda, Acı Pekkan, Kamuran Akkor, 3 names those days. And when I was searching, there was a lot of not interesting music, a lot of pop. So then I decided, okay, it's time to go to explore. So as you mentioned, I'm Polish, but now I live in Istanbul. It's been 4 years now, almost 3 years. And I work there as a researcher. I have Ladies on Records label, and I release music. One of the things is this. This is the thing that is like a homage to the female activity in music, Turkish music from 60s and 70s and 80s, because not many people were really actually interested in what really women were doing in this music scene. However, 80%, no, maybe 75% of the catalog of almost all the music labels from Turkey from those times consists of female stuff. But nobody ever just really made the decision to ask what is that, what they were saying, who were they, what they were trying to represent, and what they couldn't tell. So I was digging, and I was meeting Turkish label owners and artists, of course, mostly female artists from this era, as long as they were alive. So we just were having a great time, and it has been 3 years. And one of the outcomes is this Turkish ladies compilation that is just. And on the cover you can see a beautiful singer from 70s called Huri Sapan, who has been almost unknown. I mean, she had a good moment in late 70s because she was known for arabesque style, but then totally forgotten. However, her career could have grown much, much more. Even she has a very, very beautiful, strange episode. There is a movie. What's the movie? I forgot. I lost the plot, but I will come back to it. Anyway, yes. So I was also digging in the archives of the labels. That's why we had this beautiful original photo from 70s when it was supposed to be presented on one of her music covers, but it didn't came out. So we took it, and the artwork is made by the artist from Denmark. She's English but living in Denmark, another Outernational context. And we made the compilation about Turkish women. I talk a lot.
That's okay. It's. I was wondering. The right for women to vote in Belgium was in 48, but in Turkey it was like 14 years earlier, like in 34.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would like to? Yeah.
That's true.
It's Kemal Atatürk,
Yeah.
the founder of the Turkish Republic. He was open-minded about this stuff, and definitely wanted to create a new and very modern and very progressive country. It was, of course, a little bit dangerous operation because the country got changed. In Turkish, they say that the country changed in one night. So the operation was like the country was a Ottoman Empire, then the Republic came and everything needed to be changed, including language.
Yeah.
People woke up and couldn't understand what is going on. So, but one of the good results was the giving the rights to women.
What's your main purpose to if you focused on these Turkish ladies? What's the main focus or the main reason why you're going on the road? You DJ all over Europe. Like, what's your drive to do this? Because you played here last month during our broadcast festival, 3 nights in a row. That was a success. People loved it. I even saw Turkish people, which I admired seeing them dance.
I mean, there are many levels why I do it. Why I started doing it because I wanted to hear the story. I thought that there is a story missing, that nobody paid attention, nobody asked. It's not that maybe somebody asked, but it wasn't spread. Nobody knew. So I decided to ask, to give a question. What's going on with women in Turkish music those days? And especially the 60s and mostly 70s, 80s is a very turbulent time. It was a very turbulent time in Turkey. It was close to coup. It was a war between leftist and right-wing people. So where the women were there? I mean, as I told you, like so many recordings in Turkish music labels were performed, recorded with a major role of women, but then there was no conversation what they were really representing. So that's why I did it. That's why I started to explore. Of course, one of the reasons why I started to do it, I wanted to find a gem. I wanted to find something that is like that much extraordinary as you all are in love in Zelda. So am I. I know her personally. That's why I also know her, I know some different stories that I can also share with you here. But I also wanted to find something like that. But when I left to Turkey, I understood I need to look for something totally different. Because before I went to Turkey, my vision was only concentrated on Turkish psychedelic music. The moment I arrived, I understood this is not the key. The Turkish psychedelic music, Anatolian psychedelic rock is just a label, and it just was used to label people, but it happened afterwards. People were just making the music that was reflecting the times. as you mentioned about your activity, you do exactly what those people were doing, what Erkin Koray.
Like you're saying, you're playing Turkish folk music.
Yeah,
That's what you're-
exactly.
That's it,
And you
exactly.
have totally right, because
I'm sorry, I have to cancel tonight because it's labeled as Turkish psychedelic music.
yeah. But you have totally right, because the way they make music this time, it was just, hey, let's play some, because they have this 70s influence from USA, this hippie time, and they say, hey, let's make some Anatolian folk music with not comma, microtonal, and just play it and make some rock and roll sound, and suddenly it becomes psychedelic sound in the Western ears.
Yeah.
But when I listen to it,
It's not that much.
it's not so much psychedelic, because I listen a lot of psychedelic music in the Western music. It's actually it's actually just a bağlama player that play electro bağlama with effect, and not playing so much microtonal, and a bass player that just go around. Of course, they have their own sound. There is their own sound, but like you say, in this time it was like that.
It was natural to blend the genres. And I just want to mention and just jump out a little bit from Turkish music, but I don't know if I told you where I come from. I mean, my musical background is the same, but Polish. Music in Poland in the 70s was almost exactly the same in the attitude as Turkish music from this era. People were just blending the folk music with psychedelic or beat music.
Yeah.
Big beat was created as a blend of all this stuff, as a mixture. And now we look from this position, we can look, this is so psychedelic. They just were having fun with all the stuff they really loved.
Yeah.
This is where I come from. That's why for me, when I went to Turkey, I felt totally normal. I mean, all right, they take a folk tracks, folk music, and they just want to play it in a different way. It's so natural. So, and this is very beautiful, because it also means it will happen again and again. Music needs the space to grow, to expand, and needs people to meet. This is the source of music.
Exactly. Like Beatles, they use Ravi Shankar, a lot of his sound, and a lot of the Indian way to make music also. So, yeah.
It's funny because Geert, who fell sick, he wrote half a page, exactly about that point. Well, it's been labeled afterwards as psychedelic music, but basically it was Turkish folk music. So that's
it was still folk music,
Yeah.
exactly. And actually, all these songs are like the songs that have been repeated for a million of times before. There are trillions of versions of this song that Erkin Koray played, and then people started, that's an amazing song. But it has been played millions of times. It's amazing. But this is not we're not trying to decompose the talk. But
No.
Turkish psychedelic music doesn't exist. It exists.
Yeah.
When you look from now, it exists. But this is the vibe. This was the time of those genres. So that's why it happened.
You've been living now for how many years in Istanbul?
It has been 3 years.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have a completely different view now in Turkish music in general?
Totally.
Or, yeah.
Totally. As I told you, when I went there, I thought, yes, psychedelic, yes. And now I'm really discovering music in so many genres that I just I would neglect those days. Now I understand that there's a source. The source is different. We have to be there to feel what does this music really mean, what the people really feel about it. You have to talk to them. So my perception changed a lot. And also, the longer I stay, the less I know. And this is something I have to acknowledge.
Keep the overview, Kornelia. Otherwise,
I mean, that feeling that when I arrived there, first I went for a 1 month trip, digging experience. So I stayed there and I just collected the best tracks, the best records. Amazing. I came back home and I felt, I know everything about Turkish music. And then I came back and I stayed there, and every single month later I felt I don't know anything. And after 3 years I'm at this point.
how do people react when you do DJ sets in Istanbul?
So first of all, Turkish music in Turkey, I mean, okay, let's face it, I'm playing a little bit for hipsters, right? Because, and Turkish hipsters don't like Turkish music. So usually in Istanbul, I don't play Turkish music. I mean, I'm trying, but I can't play set because then I need to end up on Turkish wedding. That's the clue. So usually I play Turkish stuff around the world. But this is another thing, around the world, which means Turkish people are coming. Turkish people, immigrants, they are coming to listen to this music and they are like, what is it? I haven't heard it since then, you know? And they are enjoying this. But in Turkey, it's very difficult to play this music. It's perceived a little bit backwarded, a little bit reflecting something old-fashioned and bad. Of course, Selda is fine because it got acknowledged by international crowd. You know, the mirror, the Western mirror works very good in Turkey, very well. So people like it because it got acknowledged. But in general, people don't care about Turkish music. But more and more, it's better. It's better after this compilation because before, you know, I made Uzeli Psychedelica Anadolu.
I think that's going to be the next slide. You read my mind.
And it was before that one.
There you go.
That's one.
Whatever you say, it pops up on the screen. So,
well, I'm not gonna say what I want to see now. Anyway, so I also did this compilation, and it was before Turkish Ladies, actually, because I started to work with an old cassette label from Turkey called Uzeli Cassette, and I just dived in their archive, and it was very lucky because the archive was closed. I mean, nobody could check it, and this guy who owns the label, he saw me, I wanted to license something from him, and he said, I'm not gonna license anything to you, but you can work for me. I said, okay, I will take it, because he didn't feel I'm danger. Because for others, he would never agree to enter his archive. But for me, you know, what I can do, I'm from Poland, I'm a girl, you know, like all this stuff. So I dived in this and I made this compilation. And actually, as I was trying to tell you now, guys, so it has changed. I mean, since I'm there 3 years, I see how it's changing. Also, people are trying to explore the Turkish music. The Turkish people are trying to explore Turkish music more and more. But Turkish people really love to look at the mirror of Western culture. They love to see, okay, we are good, because they say we are good. So let's listen to our music again. But it's not only Turkish thing. I mean, I can say Polish thing, it's the same. I mean, we like to be appreciated. Then we appreciate who we are. So this was my answer for your question.
What's up next? On Ladies on Records? Because, I mean, people should check out your blog, because you're blogging quite often about people whom you meet. What can people expect next?
So I have some plans. One of the plan is I want to make I think about making a compilation about belly dancing, but in a different way. I mean, it will be a selection of very good tracks that you can party hard, but it will be about the gender. It will be how this context of femininity, of being woman, is extracted from woman, actually, because you know, zenne. In Turkey, there are guys who are performing belly dance, and they are very good, by the way. So they are changing. They are like queers, and they just do the amazing job. The best belly dancers are very often nowadays men. And this is what I want to explore through music. Of course, music will be the most important, but I would love to explore the gender issue. I mean, it's not about woman anymore. You know, it's about playing with the statue of being a woman. It's something different. So this kind of stuff, also some other issues, and who knows, maybe other countries. I think of Greece, because I like these moments when there is a conflict a bit, because I'm an anthropologist. So, Greek people and Turkish people, they just really don't like each other. But they have everything the same. Music the same, food very similar, especially the Aegean side. The music is exactly the same. The same songs, they were taken both one from another, but they don't like each other. So my concept is to make a compilation of the same songs in Turkish and Greek, so both of them will listen to them. And they say, oh, okay, I know this song, you know. I'm trying to play with the conflict a bit, to make something good of it.
But it's amazing how many stories you can take out this whole Turkish folk music kind of thing. It keeps on coming. That's very inspirational. This is the archive of, well, it's not the archive, it's the CD collection, the album vinyl collection of Geert de Wilde. Maybe we can look at the next slide as well. He has all those 45s from Turkey and Iran. But I want to show you another, and then I think that's the last visual, and that we're coming closely to the end. This is, of course, David Byrne, and I don't know if the quote is upcoming as well. On the next slide, it's a black coat. No, it's a black coat. He was saying that Turkey's going through these bad years lately. I'm trying to put it in my head what he said. He said something about the dark years of Erdogan now, but that we can get a lot of inspiration and relief from Turkish music in general. So, last question maybe for each of all of you: like, can politicians learn a lot from the Turkish music scene in general, or the Turkish Psych movement from the last couple of years, the revival?
Yeah, of course. But it's always start with people, because politician is part of people also. So it start with the people, and of course venues like this have also responsibility, because you guys show people like us that have this diversity in our sound. And it's go to the people, and from the people, it's go to the politician. That's the way. Yeah.
That's why, as a venue, I think we need to embrace it. So, and that's why we invited Theresa May tonight. She's going to be there. So
yeah, thank you.
Luckily, it's a free concert because she ran out of money for all the Brexit campaigns. Kornelia, can we learn something from Turkish folk music in general, Turkish psychedelic music in general?
I think right-wing politicians can't learn anything. They are not keen on learning, and they will not learn. I'm sorry for bad vibe. And actually, what we now experience, you know, I live there, and I'm losing every day friends. They go to somewhere. Every day somebody goes somewhere, and they are mostly musicians, designers, singers, people of free spirits, or also technology specialists. They go somewhere, and they're gonna give this talent that they have to another place. Turkey will suffer very much because of this. So I don't know. We need some 20 years, I think, until something new will happen in Turkey. It's very bad. I'm sorry, I'm very negative, but I don't think they can learn anything from. They don't look at people. They just want to hold power.
Yeah. But
it's supposed to be a fun night, and you're dragging it all down now.
Yeah.
This is reality.
But last week I saw a documentary in the Danish TV. It's also about these other nationalities, because today if you want to have a great politic vision, then you have to have a great immigrant politic in the Europe, and the thing is in the Europe that they always want to show the negative side of immigrants, you know. Yeah, fear, and that's really similar thing in everywhere in the world. So that's the reason that we have to touch people. We have to say hi. We have to say hello, and visit our neighbor, and show our music. That's the only way, I think, you know, because come up and talk and say clever thing is of course good, but you have to touch. If you don't do this, and if you don't visit your neighbor, and if you don't come and listen to other kind of music, then you cannot change.
Karolien, for you as well, the last question. Can politicians learn from this whole Turkish folk movement?
I think politicians can definitely learn from the fact to be open-minded and to listen to each other and to be inspired to each other and to create something that where things come together. And I think it's a hope I have, but I'm also a bit negative in the sense that I think it's really fucked up how things are now. So there's a long way to go, but they could definitely learn something if they want to, yes.
I just want to say something that you said that I'm saying, because I just arrived from Istanbul. You know, it's a different state of being. That's why I'm telling this, that it's difficult to bring hope. You know, just Turkey just went through municipality voting, and in big cities, all the big cities, AKP, which is the ruling party, the right-wing party, they lost. And they also lost in Istanbul, but they couldn't accept it. So now they're canceling the whole voting, and people will vote again. So it means in Turkey, the power is in the hands of people who can do anything. That's why I don't think that they can, you know, learn. They don't want to hear. They want something different. I'm sorry for bringing you to this state of mind.
You can make it up tonight because you will DJ tonight.
Yeah, I will play.
I'll beg you,
song.
DJ NiXiE, keep on spinning those records and releasing those mixtapes, especially Turkish Psych music. Kornelia, as ladies on records tonight, you will DJ tonight. Keep on spinning records, 45s. The DJ booth is ready for you tonight. Hudna, have a great show tonight. I'm sure it's your first Belgian gig ever.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
I do think so. Yeah. After Roskilde, Belgium, you're going to conquer Belgium. So it's going to be a great night tonight with Electro Hafiz, Hudna, and Ladies on Records tonight. Thank you all for coming over here and shining some light on the Turkish Psych movement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're going to have a short break, and so you can grab some water, some air. And I wanted to say, see you later.